Hey, what's going on, guys? Appreciate you stopping by. Definitely doing something a little bit different with this video. If you're a regular to the channel, you've seen me many times. I'm the guy that's driving a red truck down the road, and I'm talking about current events and preparedness and certainly a more self-reliant lifestyle, as well as a few videos sitting in my garden. And I thought I would talk a little bit about how modern Exodus really came about and how we got here. We live in central Maine on a small homestead. We're trying to build this homestead. It's nothing compared to a lot of homesteads you see people with. They have goats and cows and chickens and everything else, and acres of farmland. That's not us. We're very small, strict budget, and it's just the two of us. And we're trying to live a more traditional and simple life, I think. A happier life, less stress, more natural, and yeah, and certainly be more self-reliant and better prepared, because we do see some very bad times that are probably going to happen in the not too distant future. Hopefully we're wrong, but I think the evidence is stacking up that we may not be. So we definitely live in uncertain times. And so a little bit about how modern Exodus came to be. So many years ago, I was very interested in preparedness. This is all the way back in the 80s. I was concerned about nuclear war. For those of you that are old enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. The Soviet Union and the United States were at odds, and there were a lot of theories going around as to what might happen. And you fast forward a decade or two, and that threat really wasn't there anymore, or at least it was less. But that feeling of just being prepared just was common sense. It's like having insurance on your vehicle. It just makes sense. It's just something that you should do because you never know. You could have an accident. 9/11 occurred, and that certainly energized myself into preparedness and started looking more into self-reliance, self-sufficiency. And by that time, my life was very much like many people's lives. I was in a cookie cutter neighborhood where the homes were fairly close together, lived in a city, worked a job in a very large area, very heavily populated area, and was in significant debt, like many people. And I dreamt of someday living in the country and having a homestead and having, gardens and chickens and stuff like that. I did have gardens back then, but so life happened, and I'm not going to get into a lot of personal details because it doesn't matter, but life happened. And over the course of a few years, I found myself moving from place to place. COVID occurred. I lost my job. Worked for a facility for more than 2 decades, and I worked for a company and was let go, and thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with that company and retire, but that didn't happen. And found another job, and again, moved from place to place, got promoted, and moved around the southeastern United States. All the while, I continued to think about eventually moving on acreage, living in the country, living more traditional life, less stress, all the things that you think about when you, for most people, I think, at least most of you that are probably watching this channel, that you want a simpler life and maybe an easier life as far as stress goes, and living in nature. So Maine Prepper Girl and I had gotten together. We had met and connected, and we moved around together down south. And a variety of reasons, we ended up needing to come to Maine. And we kind of knew that was going to happen eventually, but it happened a little sooner rather than later. I left what many would consider a dream job rather abruptly, took a massive pay cut, about 50%, because I was following a dream. And we came to Maine in the middle of winter, which was definitely interesting, and purchased this home and 5 acres in the middle of winter. It was covered with snow, so we really didn't have a good idea or understanding about the property, which led to some interesting events that maybe I'll tell you about. So we moved in the month of February a few years ago, and the job I was working was absolutely horrendous. And but you do what you got to do. And we had our first mud season, and if you're not familiar with what that is, it's when all the snow melts, so the ground becomes absolutely saturated. And we discovered a lot of things about the property once that happened. And I really need to talk about all that together. So I'm going to move on past that. But we got into spring and summer, started our first garden, which is where our main garden is now. We kind of could tell that we think the previous owner did some gardening there, and failed miserably. Absolutely failed miserably. Excuse me. And, when I was down south for 20 years or so, I had gardens. Maybe a little less than 20 years. I had, some gardens when I lived in apartments. I had, I built a raised bed on one of the patios with cinder blocks. I had containers, buckets and stuff like that. And I grew stuff and really enjoyed it. And then when I had a house, I had a decent sized garden that grew every year in size. And most of the years was very successful, and learned a lot. You can learn a lot from mistakes, and I made a lot of mistakes. So here in Maine, a completely different season, different climate, different temperature, timing is totally different. And I thought I'd come up here and, build some raised beds, till some earth, add some compost, plant some seeds, and woo, I'm ready to go. That's not how it worked out. That first year was horrendous. And if you're not new to the channel and you've watched quite a few of the videos, you'll know I talked about it before, that we discovered that the property in certain areas was infested with a weed called horsetail weed. And I've since discovered that it has some medicinal value, but it is extremely virile, and it's very difficult to get rid of without using a lot of harsh chemicals, and we didn't want to do that. So after that first year, which we got very little as far as produce, as far as crops go, the following year we started using raised beds and using weeding fabric under the raised beds and on the garden, and really put forth a tremendous amount of effort to get the garden going. And I happen to go through some health issues that I'm probably not entirely out of the woods with that goes. Again, another topic, but have to see specialist every 3 months. And but I was going through some health issues, so Maine Prepper Girl did a ton of work in the garden, and because I was in a very debilitated and weakened state. And as I got stronger, I helped out where I could, but she was incredible, really, really incredible. And the garden showed it. We did, the garden just was amazing and fantastic. So since then, the garden has done well, and we've expanded the garden in size every year. We ended up getting chickens, and we're looking at getting more chickens and expanding, all aspects of the homestead. It has been a tremendous amount of work, and when we go back and look at pictures from when we first moved in, and inside and out of the cabin, that's what we call this, the cabin, it's pretty amazing and satisfying with how much things have changed, how much things have improved. And make no mistake about it, that you may see people on YouTube. There's a lot of homesteading channels out there, and that's not exactly what this is, Modern Exodus. It's more of a lifestyle change with, preparedness, getting ready for things in the future. We are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I see a lot of these homesteading channels, and they really come off as, we just go out and do our daily chores. And, we have these goats over here and chickens over here and some donkeys and some cows, and, we got to milk them, and we do this and that, and everything's great. And we're completely 100% out of debt. And, the world could crash around us and we wouldn't know. That's not us. So there's a lot of work left to do. And I will tell you that I'm looking forward to it. Every single day, I approach the day to say, I just want to be a little bit better off at the end of the day than I started. Doesn't always happen, and that's okay. But we try. We both work full-time jobs, which trying to accomplish the things that we are on a budget and with limited time is difficult. It's not easy. And it's part of the reason why I created Modern Exodus. And originally it was over on Substack, still is, where I write and I publish some of these videos. But also decided to do YouTube was because I know there's other people out there that they are disgusted, frustrated, and maybe even angry with the life that society has said, this is what you're supposed to do. You graduate high school. You should go to college. You got to go to college if you want to be successful. You graduate college. You go get a great job. You buy a house. Of course, you get married. You have 2.5 kids. You buy a house, get into all kinds of debt. And whenever one of your neighbors buys a new car, well, you got to buy a new car because you got to keep up. So much of it is what appearance looks like. What does it look like rather than how you really are? And I I'm not going to, I really don't want to get off on a tangent here, but so much social media has done that where, I know people that will post pictures and show that they are just unbelievably happy when in reality they're miserable. And that fake life that so many people, which I think has been normalized, not just with social media, but just the debt and the type of life that many people lead. And many people may not even know just how unhappy it's making them. That's why I created Modern Exodus, is to have an avenue that somebody could at least consider something different. I still work, full time. I go to work every day and I am making other people wealthy. And that's not what I want. And I hope that at some point I can get away from that. I think that is certainly one of my goals. One of our goals is that we can be truly as self-sufficient as possible. And that includes not just growing our own food, but also, earning our own income. And we're heading in that direction. But will we ever get there? Maybe not. But we're going to keep trying. So I know there's a lot of people out there that want to do something similar. I've had comments that people have said they get frustrated because I say, get out of the city, move to as low a population density area as possible, insulate yourself from the impact of government, big corporations, and society, and become as self-reliant, as self-sufficient as possible. And the very first thing in there is get out of the city. And I've had numerous people comment that, how? We can't afford it. We don't make enough money. It's impossible. And I get it, because I've seen some other YouTubers out there that sit there and because they've moved out into the country and they live, on acres, and they said, oh, no excuses, just do it. Sell everything you got and just do it. And it certainly was easier to do years ago than it is today. And every passing year, it's getting more difficult. But is it possible? It is possible. And what I would say is to keep trying, but do the best you can where you're at now. And put together a plan and work at it diligently with determination. Be deliberate in your actions if that's where you want to be. So, I don't know if this video, I really just wanted to sit down and just kind of have a conversation with whoever's watching. I've really valued this YouTube channel has grown so much in a short amount of time, and I love the comments. A lot of repeat people coming around and commenting, and I try to answer everyone. I know I've missed some, but I try to answer everyone, and it's been very rewarding, and it's one of the things that motivates me to keep doing it. So I don't know how this video will be received. The YouTube algorithm is very strange, and typically the videos that I make where I'm talking about current events get seen by a lot more people. And I suspect that this video is going to be seen by very, very few people. But those of you that are still watching, we're 19 minutes in, I'm about to end this, that are still watching, I appreciate it. If you would comment, if you'd like, maybe share this video on social media if you're on social media, because those things, when you like, comment, and share, really help It tells YouTube, hey, this video is important. We're going to put it in front of more people. Excuse me again. So, anyways, that's it. I don't know if I'll do another one of these. If you got suggestions, questions, yeah, let me know. So, I appreciate it. You guys stay safe, take care. We'll see you next time.
So I ran from the cities and the noise and lies, found a piece of ground under open skies, hands in the dirt, sweat on my shirt, learning what living's really worth. While crooked men shake hands in rooms, selling souls to corporate suits. Society's sick, but I found the cure. A back road life, honest and pure. They can keep their throne and their golden news. This life out here's my modern exodus. I traded screens for a sunrise, callous palms, blisters, pride. Planted seeds where hope was.